challenger.
Hey, Frog Prince Rana here, and thank you for dropping by. If you have seen any of my other videos, you will have noticed that I have a tendency of trying to explain the topic in hand to the best of my ability, which also meant most of the videos are around 20 to 30 minutes long. And I have been told by different sources that it is too long to be viewed. I do agree with the take, and yet I wouldn't do it any other way, as these videos are not only meant to debunk, but to also hopefully give some details on the topic. But today's video hopefully would be rather shorter. We will be looking at one of the vilest flat earthers around. Yes, I know, several flat earth followers fit the bill. We have Anthony Riley, Nathan Oakley, amongst others. And we have Daniel Pratt, who is a champ in his own right. We'll be looking at a video titled Flat Earth, Dear NASA and Minions, How's the Real Science Project Coming? Not well, I bet. Daniel does mention it is a pretty laid-back video, and I do agree. He's not calling anyone a child molester on this one. The video is really one low-quality thumbnail making the claim, and then the remaining is Daniel pratting about some additional BS. Well, let's see what he has to say, and then we will address the actual thumbnail.
Pretty laid back one today, but just got to go at NASA again. And their, let's refer to them as less than intelligent behemoths.
Does this remind anyone of a child who thinks he or she is smarter than everyone else? But normally we grow out of it.
Because they're too chicken shit to come out and address Flat Earth themselves.
Maybe you guys are not as important as you think you are. There are some issues that are too dumb to be taken seriously. We have our channels, so we can try to mitigate the dumbness you morons tend to infect on impressionable youths and at times grown-ups. You guys are walking joke, and even other conspiracy theorists laugh at you. Can you at least comprehend that?
Still waiting on word about that camera you're going to send to the moon with 4G service, cell phone service. Sorry to keep pounding on this, people, but I think if there would be a directed effort to start pointing out how NASA will not even give us an answer. And as usual, over the last 5 to 6 years, I'm continually, myself and others, all flat earthers are free game, are attacked, still berated, belittled, slandered. But these very channels that claim to be so much about science, we need to start shining the light on how they refuse to campaign along with us for NASA to put a camera on the moon and end the flat earth argument.
Seriously, is there a single rational person on this planet Earth that would buy your claim that it would stop your moronic arguments? Hell no. You will always fall back to your stupid argument of gas pressure next to a vacuum and dismiss all evidence. When we show you a photograph of Earth, first you'd call it composite. Then we would show you a photo taken with a film camera from 1970s. You would either require more recent proof or dismiss it regardless. You would shout CGI and then say computer generated, and not realizing CGI stands for computer generated image. So basically you say the same thing twice. Is there any doubt that even a camera on the moon wouldn't satisfy you lot? Hell, even the camera in Antarctica is not enough to convince you guys of A, we're all allowed to go there is no so-called treaty to stop us, and B, there is no ice wall, and C, if you trek across it, you get to the other side of the same globe. This kind of reminds me of my ex-wife. The goalpost is always moving. You think you got it, and then a new challenge is presented. Maybe it is time for you guys to understand what burden of proof means.
Now, I know there's many flat earthers out there laughing their asses off right now because they know the debate has been over for 6 years.
Ah, what is this magical 6 years? When the stupidity gained traction on YouTube? You do realize that morons have existed throughout human history. It is sad, but people like you guys existed even at the dawn of human existence, and will exist till the day humankind cease to exist. Well, the debate actually has been over for thousands of years. I guess you missed the classes. Wait, school is mandatory in USA, right? Or are you guys all homeschooled?
Somehow, between the 100 flat earth debunking channels, which would equal about 100 functional brain cells between you, you all can't seem to put any real science together to prove your globe.
You mean your kind of science, which is not science. Daniel, do you know that us humans left something behind on the moon's surface when we were there? Somehow I think you don't. I do have a video on that and a card should be popping up. Quick summary and I will try to dumb it down for you. So, we left several retroreflectors. Oops, sorry, my bad. We put large mirrors. Mirrors reflect. We know where we left it. So now, if we shine lasers on those, we get reflection back. I can't make it any simpler than that. We have been to space and those retroreflectors proves it. We took picture of our globe Earth, we can see those pictures. We may have 100 functional brain cells, but for you guys, it is a negative vortex. You suck all the science in your vicinity while simultaneously emitting serious amount of dumbness.
That you will harass people, get people like Brian Mullen threatened with their jobs.
In his resolute soliloquy, Hamlet denounces his mother's swift remarriage with the statement, "Frailty, thy name is woman." The phrase is recognized as one of the memorable expressions from the play to become proverbial. It has been used in many forms, but the one applicable here would be, "Hypocrisy, thy name is you." Just as a test, Daniel, do you know what I'm referring to? Finally, to the thumbnail view. Now, as I mentioned, it is really low quality. So let me fix that and read out what it says. Houston, we have a problem. They say the moon rotates at 10.5 miles per hour, which is 15.4 feet per second. They also say the moon has no atmosphere because it is in the vacuum of space. So when the Freemason astronauts jumped up, they should have landed in a different place. Even if they jumped up for only 1 second, they should have landed 15.4 feet from where they jumped, but they didn't. They land on the same spot from where they jumped? Question mark? Remember, the moon has no atmosphere. So, as soon as anything leaves the moon's surface, it cannot be moving with it. Think about it. Take as long as you like. Well, I should not be saying this as English is not my first or second language. I have problem with my pronunciation and not the most articulate person around. Simply put, me, English, bad. But you don't have that excuse. So when you think you have some groundbreaking, undeniable claim, can you at least make sure you have correct grammar? Question mark is used to indicate, you guessed it, a question. Isn't that like first year grammar? Anyway, yep, thought about it, and I know why. But first, they don't say that moon has no atmosphere because it is in the vacuum of space. I could ask you to go and read a book, but that would be asking too much. So I will just explain it. If you're a big enough planet like Jupiter or Saturn, you kept the atmosphere that was the remnant of the gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, in the solar nebula when the planets were formed. The smaller inner planets probably got their atmospheres that occurred as they cooled down. Then you can have a large impact that can literally blow off the atmosphere. This is probably what happened to Mars. Also, when the molecules in an atmosphere get heated up, they move faster and can reach a velocity to escape the gravitational pull. This is how we lose hydrogen and such. The hotter the atmosphere, the more velocity it gets. The smaller the object, the lower the gravity. So the escape velocity is lower and it is harder to maintain in atmosphere, like Moon and Mercury. Gravity being a really weak force and the Moon being relatively tiny, the escape speed on the surface of Moon is much smaller. From its equator, the Moon has a radius of 1738 km. It also has an estimated mass of 7.342 times 10 to the power 22 kg. This means that the Moon's escape velocity is only 2.38 km per second, dumping down gas fast. Escape from Moon. By the way, about 3.5 billion years ago, the broad dark patches we see on the lunar surface first formed. Known as maria, they were created by large lava flows that later cooled to become basalt plains. During the Apollo missions of the 1960s and 1970s, astronauts brought back samples of these maria, and we found they contained traces of gas such as carbon monoxide. This gas erupted from the Moon's interior at the same time as the maria formed, which indicates that a long time ago, Moon did have an atmosphere. Moving on, Freemason astronauts was kind of funny. Would you please wear a tinfoil hat next time? Finally, what has atmosphere to do with relative velocity? Let's start simple. Daniel here is under the impression that it is our atmosphere spinning at the same speed as the Earth's surface is what keeps our jumper in place relative to the point of departure. And he thinks we don't have brain cells. Okay. Now, if that was the case, every time we jumped, we would get hit or be subjected to a wind of roughly 1000 miles per hour. Well, wind speed of 55 to 63 miles per hour is called whole gale and can uproot trees and do considerable damage to buildings. From 64 to 73 miles per hour, well, that is a storm with widespread damage. Over 73 miles, we get hurricane with untold violent destruction. 1000 miles per hour would kill us even before we know what hit us. So this can't be the explanation. Atmosphere does many things. Without it, we cannot breathe or hear. But it has nothing to do with our position or weight. If you stand on the Moon, you are moving at the same speed as its surface around its core. Your lateral velocity relative to the Moon's surface is 0. If you then jump vertically, you already have a horizontal speed equal to the speed of the soil under your feet, and the jump doesn't change the horizontal component of your movement, and you will follow the rotation of the Moon. Basically, you still have 0 lateral velocity relative to the Moon's surface. One thing to bear in mind, when you are jumping vertically, you in a sense are in a bigger sphere, which means that you would need more speed to maintain the same angular velocity of the surface. Failing that, you will be rotating slightly slower than the surface while you are in flight. But since the angular velocity is quite low and you're not jumping thousands of feet, you will not be able to notice the difference. Well, hopefully that demystifies the conundrum for all flat earthers. That is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please drop a like, comment and share it around. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so, as it would help me bring more content to you. Thank you once again. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.
We are one.